Hello. Where are you from?
El Salvador.
El Salvador. And where are you from?
New York.
New York. Well, how many of you are originally from someplace else and now you live here in Texas? Raise your hand. Whoa, okay, all right. Well, wherever you're from, welcome to Plano, Texas. Imagine living here, my hometown, Detroit, Michigan, and you have the opportunity to live here. And you want to choose this because it's the safe thing to do. It's familiar. Even though it's cold and miserable for 6 months of the year, at least you know it. And maybe more importantly, people know you. That was my choice. In 2003, my husband came home from work one afternoon, all excited, and he said, "Guess what, honey? Toyota offered me this great job, and we have an opportunity to move to sunny Southern California. What do you think?" "Oh, I love change. How fun!" is not what I said. What I actually said was, I'd rather cut off my right arm. Even though we always talked about moving someplace warm and sunny, when I was actually faced with the reality of it, I changed my mind. I was born and raised in Michigan. My husband and I were born in the same hospital. We were baptized in the same church. We were married in the church where we were baptized. All my friends and family lived there. My job that I loved was there. I was not interested in leaving the comfort and familiarity of everything that I knew. I felt like I had no good choice here. California was great for a vacation. I just didn't want to move there. My husband was so excited for this change, and I could only imagine the impact on our marriage if I said no. So I reluctantly said yes, and off we went. We moved to this wonderful house near the beach so that my husband could be close to his new job, and I could see the ocean every day when I woke up, somehow thinking that would ease the pain of the move. It didn't. I had no history there. I had no community there, and it seemed like a very real threat. I had to find all new doctors. I had to find new grocery stores. I had to make all new friends. But one of the hardest things for me was trying to find someone to do my hair. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. And then I had to drive to all these new places in my car that didn't have GPS. And I was terrified I was going to be lost all the time, not to mention the legendary Los Angeles traffic. Every little change was a huge upset, not just for me, but for my husband too. He wanted this change, but he was still the new guy at a new company, having to work with all new people and learn a new job, and then he had to come home to me, whose sole purpose was to make sure that he paid for ruining my life. Now, he wasn't really ruining my life. He'd actually given me a precious gift. He gave me the opportunity to have the adventure of a lifetime, and I was missing it. I was so busy mourning what I'd left behind that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. I found it a lot easier to blame him for everything that wasn't working than to take responsibility for my own life. And this went on for about 2 years. Why did I do that? Why did I waste all that precious time? Why did I feel the need to punish my husband? Well, what I learned was my brain was triggering an unstoppable visceral response. Let's take a look at how the brain works, because understanding this is a critical piece of the puzzle and helping us reframe the way we think about change. Change can actually trigger a response in our brain that negatively impacts our capacity to think logically. And in fact, I wasn't thinking at all. My brain was hijacked. When my husband came home and said, "We're moving to California," my brain was threatened, and it went on autopilot. It's a medical fact that our brains perceive certain information, like change, as a threat. And for me, having the comfort and familiarity of Michigan ripped away from me was enough to trigger that response in my brain, regardless of how real the threat actually is. It doesn't have to be a physical threat. It could be a perceived threat. Something as simple as watching a scary movie. You can tell yourself consciously, "Oh, it's just a scary movie." But there's a part of our brain that can't distinguish between real threat and perceived threat. It doesn't listen. This is a cross-section of the human brain. And that flesh-colored section right in the center of the brain, it's part of the limbic system. That's the part of the brain that doesn't listen. You'll still jump and get scared at a scary movie. I can't even watch scary movies. It's automatic. It's the primitive part of our brain, and it was developed approximately 150 million years ago. It was designed to keep us safe from real threat, like being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. It's what helped us to survive as a species. And our brain still works the same way today, even though there are no saber-toothed tigers. It's our alarm center, and it responds powerfully to all kinds of emotionally charged and negative information. Again, it's automatic. It loves to replay negative information, negative stories, over and over and over again. It's one of the reasons I was stuck for so long in my misery of being ripped away from Michigan to move to California, and I had to leave the snow and misery and live at the beach. It predicts the awful things that could happen in your future, even though most of these awful things never even happen. So consider that those awful things tend to keep you stuck in your comfort zone, and you never go after that new job or visit that new place or get up and speak in front of a room full of people. But there's good news. You all have familiar patterns of emotions and body sensations that get triggered by that part of your brain when you're faced with certain change or things that are new to you. It might be fear, it might be frustration, it might be tightness in the pit of your stomach when you're faced with that change or things that are new to you. Once you recognize your familiar patterns, those feelings have less power over you. But you have to recognize your patterns. It's that simple. And once I recognized my familiar patterns of emotions and body sensations that were keeping me stuck in a holding pattern in California, they quickly began to lose their grip on me. And it was time for me to start living again. And living in California was a lot more fun. One of my favorite things about living in California were the beautiful sunsets over the ocean every night out my window. I never got tired of that sight, and I thought I would live in California forever. That brings me to my second story. A couple of years ago, my husband came home from work and he said, "Guess what, honey? Toyota's moving their headquarters to Plano, Texas." What did I do? I automatically reacted the same way I did 12 years earlier when he said we were moving to California. Even though I knew I had created a powerful new way of dealing with change, my brain's automatic reaction was not, "More change, how fun." My brain's automatic reaction was more along the lines of, "I'm filing for divorce." I was angry, I was sad, all the pain and tension came back in my neck and shoulders. All those emotions and body sensations were right there, ready to ambush me. Fortunately, it didn't take me 2 years to see it this time, I was able to quickly step back, make a new choice, and create some fun with this adventure. After a few trips back and forth to Texas, we found our new home. Or should I say, we found our new dirt. We were going from this to this. But it didn't matter where we were going. It was all part of the fun that I got to create. This was my opportunity to use my new tools and reframe the way this change was going to go. Now, I still drive around North Texas, and I have no idea where I'm going. And I start to panic. And I'm driving a car with GPS this time. But that's the interesting thing about our brain and change. It doesn't have to be a big thing or even a real threat. It's that part of our brain that can't distinguish between real threat and perceived threat. It still gets triggered. And as I'm driving around and I notice it, I stop myself and I say, wait a minute, you've never been here before. You don't have any history here. It's going to be okay. And I calm down. In the short time I've lived here in Texas, I've been introduced to new cultures and new foods, new thoughts and new ideas. I've experienced hot air balloons going up in my backyard. I've had dinner with alpacas, even gone to cattle drives, all with my new Texas friends. The story I'm telling you tonight is not just my story. I'm the voice of the hundreds of people who are moving to North Texas each week. We all have an opportunity to embrace this change or to mourn what we left behind, because change will never stop happening from the moment we're born till the moment we leave this earth. But how you react to change can change. And your body's automatic response to change will never stop. It's your brain working perfectly. But how you react to that response can change and make a profound difference in the quality of your life. I want to leave you tonight with something to think about. What if one thing was different and change could be fun? What if it was as simple as this? Find a way out of your comfort zone. Living life the same way day after day is not wrong. It's our natural human tendency. But trying new things, going to new places, is a great way to expand the way you think and live and experience life. Unhook from your familiar patterns. If you can just stop and notice your brain's automatic reactions, you can think and live and act differently. New people, get out and meet them. New people will introduce you to new ideas, new thoughts, new ways of being that just might take you on the adventure of a lifetime. By reframing the way you think about change, you will all have a lot more fun. Thank you.